Alright, 1 second, guys. Having some massive technical difficulties. Oh, man. Okay. My God, that was not fun. Thanks for your patience, guys. What's going on here? Get out there. Hey, how's it going, Jim? Hey, let me know. Are you on Facebook, Jim? Let me know if you're on Facebook, because Facebook was just giving me a huge problem and not letting me. It wasn't verifying whether or not the podcast was actually being streamed. That was very frustrating. It looks like it is because you're on Facebook. Wow, that's weird. Okay. So it seems to be working. Hey, I'm doing good though, man. Super busy. Let me acclimate myself really quick. It looks like everything seems to be good. Let's go ahead and minimize all that. Okay. All right, yeah, like I said, as usual, had some technical difficulties, and not only that, I was running really behind schedule. I really appreciate you guys' patience. Oh, you're not able to hear me? Thank you for that. What? That's weird. The mic's working. You're still not able to hear me? Because it shows the mic working. Yeah, let me know if it's still not working, because everything's checking out and the mic is actually feeding on it. That is very strange if you can't hear me. Christ. Oh, that's probably why you can't hear me. Is it slightly working? Not at all. Because again, my mic is showing that everything is working. So, can you hear any audio at all, or is it complete silence, or can you barely hear me? That is so strange. That doesn't make any sense to me. The mic is working. Everything's on. One second. Malia, are you on the phone? I gotta use the phone really quick. Okay. Yeah, we're good. Okay. Appreciate you guys' patience. Wanted to make sure it wasn't anything on my end because, like I said, I was having a lot of difficulties right there. So it didn't help that Jim was also having audio difficulties because it made it seem like there was something I was doing that was wrong. But all right. We are good. We should be good. I appreciate you guys' patience again, and I apologize for being so late. This is abnormal for me. So what happened was I ran an appointment earlier today, and I guess before they wanted to write me a check for the job, the guy wanted to be there. He wasn't going to be there for an hour and a half, so I had to double back and then go back there. So long story short, I let business get ahead of this project, and unfortunately sometimes that happens no matter how well I try to force people to make a decision. And you know, I there's a purpose I do that. I usually make somebody set an appointment and make a decision so I don't have to run back and forth and follow up with them. And this guy still pulled a fast one on me, even though I said, I'd like you to be there so you can, you know, if you're part of the decision-making process. And he said, no, my wife's going to handle it. Well, when I asked her to close and she wanted to write me the check, he said, yeah, I'd like to be there. So he pulled a switcheroo on me, and apologize for that. I'm going to take full accountability for that. But anyways, I appreciate the patience. Like I said, I'm usually not this late, and then I had technical difficulties because Restream decided to reformat and update their services again. And so whenever that happens, I got to kind of switch gears a little bit and acclimate myself a little bit. And I didn't have much time to do that, and I didn't have time to eat. So I am going to eat a little bit on the podcast. I'm going to ask Malia to bring me a fork really quick. Hey, Malia, will you bring me a fork, please, sweetheart? Because I've been running around all day, and yeah, so I'm going to break my own rules a little bit, be a little bit rude, and eat some of these, these vegan treats. I'll take that. Thank you, sweetheart. I appreciate that. All right.
Quick. Wait, what?
You want to say hi? I thought you didn't want that.
I thought that was treat. And like.
Oh, no. I remember you saying you didn't like that, so yeah, I didn't give you any.
Yeah.
All right, I'll see you in a little bit, okay?
Okay.
Love you. Yes. What a sweetheart. Helping her dad out. So yeah, might as well tell you what I got here on my spread since I'm eating a little bit. All right. So yeah, I got me some vegan gyoza, vegan ragoons, and what they call this dragon roll. This little place I go to has a variety of vegan style sushi. This one's called the dragon roll. It's got asparagus, tofu with teriyaki on it, and some kind of imitation crab meat type thing that they got in there. So these are actually really good. I'm gonna eat one right now because I'm starving. Man. Yeah, that's where it's at. So again, I appreciate eating on the podcast, but I've been running appointments all day, interviewing people. And so, do what you gotta do sometimes. It's unfortunate because I actually got a lot of things to talk about, and we don't have enough time to get to them. So a lot of these things we're gonna have to roll over in the next podcast. But basically, yeah, I mean, let's just go down the list of stuff I got to talk about. We got legalizing misdemeanors, being woke enough. That was a topic I wanted to talk about. Incentivizing vaccines with money. The outdoor tent with still a roof and four walls. Okay, so that's me talking about companies that are putting up tents to try to keep business open with these eyesores of a tent. Talking about regulating your content consumption and paying attention to the type of content you consume. Man, I just got a lot of stuff. Procrastination. What are we gonna do here? So let me go back and rewind it here. Welcome to The Virus. This is a podcast. No, we're not here to talk about COVID-19 necessarily. It's called The Virus because we talk about viral viewpoints and contagious combos. So let me go ahead and tell you where you can find us. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, where else? Twitch and YouTube. Spotify and Apple as well. So go ahead and give us a listen, give us a like, share it, give us some momentum. And again, we're usually on at 7 o'clock. I'm never this late usually. And again, I kind of explained why. And so it's going to happen sometimes. I mean, I'm a contractor, a full-time contractor who's running a business. I don't know how many full-time contractors are running a podcast every week. Probably a few of them, but I imagine they have a hard time doing it too, especially if they're running appointments and doing that part of the aspect too. Okay, let's get into this without further ado. We got some things to talk about. I haven't had time to even organize this, unfortunately, so I'm really upset with myself about allowing a homeowner to really control my schedule like that. I'm pretty upset about it. Fortunately, I made the sale, and since I had to go back there, I made an up sale while I was there, so there was something to benefit from that, but unfortunately, it delayed the podcast. So aside from that, let's get into some of these things. I'm going to have to just go ahead and make an executive decision to allocate what the contagious combo is going to be for today. And let's go ahead and what is it going to be? What is it going to be? A viral viewpoint. This will be a viral viewpoint. Okay. I think that's a good one. What about oh, that's a good one too. Okay, yeah, this is great. So let's talk about the most recent thing that's happened with the politics and the fact that there's protesting going on at the Capitol and going on down here at this Capitol here in Olympia as well, and talk about Trump a little bit. All right. Basically, as you all know, when they were, I don't know what you even call it, the inauguration or pre-inauguration or whatever they're talking about. I don't know. I don't get the specifics of the terms of the politics. I don't dive too well into it. I just get to the facts, and the facts are there are people that were protesting at the Capitol in Washington, D.C., and they in fact breached the Capitol itself and were kind of vandalizing and just being violent in that establishment there. People died. it's funny because I heard that there was one woman that died. Obviously, she got shot and she died, but then I heard 5 people have died. There was a cop that died as well. I don't know how much of any of that is true. I imagine the woman that was shot and it was killed is probably true. But the rest of them I really can't vouch for. I haven't had time to really fact check that at all. So let's talk about what I think, why I think that happened. Well, obviously there was Trump's post. Apparently he made a post about people. I guess he deliberately told people to go down, people that want to make a change and will not stand for stuff like this. They should go to the Capitol. And so they did that. I think they took it a bit out of context and really let themselves get out of control, right? Now, he did say that, I guess. And then apparently after they stormed the place, were being violent, they were asking Trump to make a public statement about, they were trying to ask him to incite people to reel it back and not be so violent, and in hopes of him having a huge impact on the Trump supporters, which he probably does. And so there's that going on. Let's talk a little bit about Trump and accountability, because the next thing I'm going to dovetail on is accountability after this. I'm huge on that topic. So as far as accountability goes, in my personal opinion, I think Trump definitely has a sense of accountability as far as him making that statement. He should be aware that even the bad ones, the bad apples, if you will, that support him are going to take things to the extreme and be violent and do that. I know obviously he probably, if I was to guess, Trump didn't think in his head that they're going to be violent. If I tell him to do this, they're going to be violent. And so I don't think he, had ill intent in that regard. I don't know if he's getting off on people dying and being violent. I think there's the assumption by some extremists that that's what his intentions were, and they really wanted to hold him to the full accountability. Like, I get it, there's a small sense of accountability on his end, but the problem in my mind is that when you start looking for someone to hold accountable for it, usually the people that are doing that are the ones that never are accountable themselves for anything. So ultimately they're all individuals. These are individual people. They are accountable for their own lives, all right? And I understand that there's probably there's a lot of people that might not agree with me on this topic, and they might want more accountability on someone else. They would like to point fingers to other people, have them be held accountable, particularly Trump. But I'm gonna go ahead out on a limb and say that I think the most of the accountability relies on the individual themselves, all right? Trump wasn't out there with them. He didn't tell them to do all these specific things that was done. There is a level of accountability because he needs to be aware of what kind of power that he has and what kind of impact his rhetoric has on these people. And I understand that, but I think personally, if you want me to get real specific on my personal opinion as far as who is accountable and how much, let's just do a percentage pendulum, if you will. Let's just say that me personally, I think maybe 70 to 80% of the accountability is on the individual themselves, and maybe 20 to 30% will belong to Trump. That's how extreme I think. That's not even extreme. I think that's how realistic people should be. It really bothers me when people are always looking to point the finger and point the blame and hold themselves accountable for things. I always encourage people to be very accountable. I'll even take that a step further. And for me personally, and the way I hold myself accountable is I am disgustingly accountable for everything. I will hold myself accountable for things that may not even be my fault. But if I really look at it and break it the fuck down, or you know, maybe other people might not consider, they'll look at a situation that I hold myself accountable in and say, well, you actually didn't do that. It's not even your fault. But the thing is, they don't understand how my brain works. And so I break it down and go back in time and figure out why I was in that situation in the first place. Usually when you do that, you find that you can easily hold yourself accountable. And I do. And that's what I do in a lot of situations. And so it's frustrating for a person like me to see people that are always looking for someone else to hold the accountability. It's a good habit to get into, to really just, like I said, have a disgusting amount of accountability and look for ways that you can actually be accountable in it, even if it may not normally seem like that's something you should be accountable for. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys or anybody, but that is what I do. That helps me actually. That helps me make decisions for myself. That helps me make hard decisions. That helps me make smart decisions. That helps me grow mentally. Trust me, I've played the blame game a lot, most of my life. It hasn't gotten me anywhere. When you get in that victim mentality and you get in that unaccountable mentality like that, you are restricting yourself from growing. You might not even know it, but this is something that I encourage people to kind of just break down and evaluate themselves. And you'll find that there's a lot more that you can hold yourself accountable for than you think. And so my opinion is, yes, Trump is accountable for that 20-30%. The rest of that 70-80% needs to be held on the individual themselves. All right, every individual is in every situation for the reason that, you know, they are there because they put themselves there. All right, when you really think about things that way, it just makes so much logical sense. So that's my opinion. Like I said, that might not be liked because a lot of people won't agree with that, because a lot of people don't hold themselves accountable. So I don't expect a lot of people to say, oh yeah, you're probably right. These are usually the people that are looking to hold someone else accountable for things. And so this conversation, this opinion from me is not for you. And I understand that. And so maybe just do some self-reflecting if you find yourself thinking like, oh, well, that's not true. I think he should be held completely accountable. Maybe I would just encourage you to do a little bit of soul searching and a mental breakdown on yourself, and think about ways that you've held yourself accountable and ways that you've blamed somebody for a lot of things or anything at all. And think about, evaluate that situation you blame somebody for, and see if there's a way that you can actually see a particular what you played in that role, and what role you played in that event, I guess, in that situation, right, in that outcome. And I swear to you, almost every time, 99.9%, you're gonna find that you can easily hold yourself accountable for almost everything really. And I wouldn't even say almost, I'm talking 99.99999%. So yeah, I'm big on that. You've heard me talk about accountability quite a bit. And so yeah, I really hope people do that and look at the Trump and protesting situation on more of an individual accountability level. All right. And that's all I'm going to say on that. So let's see. Here's the other thing, right? They were really trying to give Trump shit about they said, you know, he wasn't making a statement about, you know, trying to encourage people not to be violent. The thing about that, well, not only that, CNN said that he was silent when actually he was on Twitter making a post saying, like, I can't remember the verbiage of it, but he basically said, you know, people, we're people of freedom and law and order. So you know, you got to go home. He literally already made that statement, you know, whatever, an hour before CNN had this big banner up on their website saying that Trump is silent during the protest. And so it's bullshit. You got to pay attention to where you're getting your news from as well. There may be a point that he was silent, but the man did say something. So, I mean, it's got to count for something. Not only that, you know, when you ask him to try to reach the people in hopes of making a huge impact to influence somebody into nonviolence, you certainly wouldn't block him from Instagram and Facebook, because I seen that he was, Mark Zuckerberg, that was a big news headline. Mark Zuckerberg blocked Trump from Facebook and Instagram. So if you're going to ask him to make a public statement like that and then block him from like the most popular social media website out there, you're an idiot. Mark Zuckerberg, you're a fucking idiot. So I understand I'm using part of your platform here, but that's my honest opinion. You can call me an idiot as well, but it's not a smart move. Like I said, if you want to get that message out there, this is the biggest platform for him to actually get his message out there. So it didn't make sense that you were fighting, going against the grain, but then asking him to do something. So it just did not make any sense. It's an oxymoron. So that bothers me, to see stuff like that. And then people, that's probably, when you sit there and say, oh, he's not reaching the people, but maybe he's been trying to on Facebook, but we would never know he was blocked. You see what I'm saying? So you got to pay attention to the type of news you're listening to, what you're consuming. And I can go on a whole nother topic on that as far as, consumption of material. Matter of fact, I will, because I'm done with that topic anyway. So let's go ahead and kind of segue into what I would call is regulation of your content consumption. Pay attention to the type of content that you assume that you consume, and also the amount that you consume. How much are you creating versus how much are you actually consuming? All right. I encourage people to really create more, especially if you're trying to reach people with a product, an idea, a service, something like that you're really trying to push forward. You really got to focus on more creating than sitting there and scrolling through feeds of Facebook, Instagram, and you name it, or watching Netflix, listening to the radio, listening to podcasts like this one. You should regulate that and how much you are paying attention to and what type of stuff you're paying attention to, because the stuff you watch and the stuff that you listen to and read, it ends up penetrating and infiltrating your internal dialogue. The type of stuff that you watch is you're going to start talking that way. You're going to start believing that. You're going to start living that way, which is why I focus on, every morning I watch these specific videos that help, me in the morning. They talk about what to improve on, what to focus on, whether it's relationships, sales, being positive, service. Literally, there's an endless amount of topics, and there's just a abundance of information that can be provided in that as well. So, pay attention to what you're consuming, and then also pay attention to the internal dialogue that you're having with yourself, because that's very important. That's something that David Goggins said it best. And for me, he says, there's 24 hours of the day that you live with yourself in your mind. You spend more time with yourself in your own head than you do with anybody or anything ever. And so it's very important that you control and regulate the amount of content that's coming in your head that you're consuming, so that you can also make sure that you have a healthy internal dialogue for yourself. All right. I'm going to eat one of these really quick, because like I said, I am starving right now. Man, these vegan gyoza, woo, very fire. It's like tofu, some, what do you call those, glass noodles or rice noodles, a little bit of veggies. Man. Oh, I didn't finish that one. Looks like I gotta eat it. Alright. I'm also gonna get a bite of this. right quick. Like I said, this is the first time you'll ever catch me eating on the podcast, so you know I'm hungry and you know I'm late. Super good though. I guess this is my first chance to promote some good vegan food. All right, man, that's so good. Wish I could just stop and eat. I'm so hungry. All right. My daughter's down there drinking tea too. She wanted me to make her a quick cup of tea before I headed up here. So she's been digging the tea, which I really appreciate. Tea's really healthy for you, and I don't know, it's nice. You can get a lot of good flavors out of it too. All right, well, let's switch gears here again. Let's get down to let's see. We regulated that. We got that going on. What's going to be our viral viewpoint for today? And what did I... Man, I have so much to talk about. I have like 8 other topics on my recorder that I haven't even transferred to the paper yet. I'm so upset that I was running late today. So that means next episode is going to be content filled, and I'm going to really try to cover some of these things because I'm also going to have more stuff to talk about during the week. So, yeah, let's see what we got here. Okay, we talked about that. This is something I want to talk about actually. So let's make the viral viewpoint this topic, and basically what it is I'm going to call it true colors. What I mean by that is I'm calling the viral viewpoint true colors because I've noticed that this is the best time. Let me turn the heat up real quick, freezing. This is the best time. We're really finding out how valuable you are to the people you work for. This time right now is really shining a light on, I mean, obviously when it comes to the working economy, it's really shedding some light on that the most, but you're really going to find out now where you are, how valuable you are to a company. Because what I mean by that is you got people that are, losing their jobs after 20 years. This is a slippery slope though, also because employers are also being put in a position where they have to make tough decisions. And I understand that, and that definitely is not easy, and I get it. I understand that, but on the other hand, you're also finding out how important you are, how valued you are. It is really just shedding some light on this, and you're finding that in all aspects, And like I said, the work economy seems to be the most apparent, department that you can actually see that in. I'm hearing all kinds of people that had their jobs for like 20 years and they've been laid off, and to complex the situation, you're going to find out how important you are to unemployment. Unemployment's been taking 6 months to a year to get funds to people, and then after that you get no back pay for unemployment. And then it just goes downhill. On top of that, employers like myself our rates doubled, and they're going to get even worse. I heard that they're going to be 300% raised in this year. All right. And so I'm not looking forward to that. So now I'm finding out how important we are to the unemployment department and the government in that section. And again, I'm finding out how important we are to the government when I'm sitting here fighting for PPP and all these things that I've never gotten yet. I think I got $1,000 last year for PPP. All right. And I found out, there's companies out there that, I know one company right now that I think they received like $250,000 for PPP. Now, obviously they employ a lot more people, but you see what I mean? When there's a Fortune 500 company like that, and they're bringing in that much revenue into the government, they're going to be looking at them first. It's all about dollars and volume and consistency. Whoever's doing that for the government, they're going to take care of first. A small little company like me and all these local companies and local restaurants that are having to close the doors, it's a lot harder for them to get the PPP and any kind of, the what do you call that? The economic disaster relief, economic disaster injury relief. There we go. Funds or grant or whatever you call it, loan. Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. This is the worst time to find. I mean, it sucks that you have to actually go through this process and find out that, the hard way where you're at, as far as where you're at on the chain and how valued you are, because the companies that are able to keep the valued ones around, they got to make those tough decisions. You know what I mean? Like, if they got 10 employees and, Bob, John, and Mark, and those three guys they got to keep 3 people, but 5 of them are really good. Over here, Dave and Alan they're all good employees too. They got to make that decision. Like, we can only keep 3, but 5 of them we'd like to keep. And let's just say they all been working for that company for 15, 20 years. They got to make that tough decision. So it really is a slippery slope. Like I said, I'm not trying to be harsh about saying like you're going to find out how valued you are, in that particular situation. That the employer, had to lay off 2 of those 5 outstanding individuals. That doesn't mean he's a dickhead or that he doesn't value those employees. That particular scenario means that employer had to make a tough decision, and that's not easy for anybody to do. And so, yeah, I mean, I've heard of companies doing very thoughtful things as well. There's one company who was just handing out money, I guess, to people. Of course, I mean, I don't know. I guess he was handing out $100 bills to employees, and like that's cool. That's appreciated for sure. But let's also be realistic. Like $100 is not nothing. So it's a nice gesture. But to me, giving somebody $100, it's also almost relative to giving a homeless person $1. It's not doing anything for them. $100 is a little more, obviously you can, buy some groceries with it or something rather than $1. You can't. But for me personally, and the amount of expenses and overhead I got, $100 is nothing. And I imagine even an employee that has just your basic, living expenses from rent and utilities, childcare, and this and that, it could easily be up to $3 or $4K like I am. I'm like $4K a month in expenses, just in living expenses. Probably more than that, actually. I think I'm over $5K. And so, yeah, I get it, but that's just prolonging the inevitable. Giving somebody $100 ain't going to do anything. Like I said, it's a nice gesture, but that's this type of scrambling around that the people are doing. And apparently we got to get ready, because what they're saying is that this is going to be going on all through this year. And it's going to, what did I hear? And of course, this is the fear being put back in us again. But I heard that by summertime, this is still going to go on until the summertime. If we can aggressively, what I heard on the radio, it's not what I'm saying. They were saying we can aggressively start taking the vaccine to get to that herd immunity mark and percentage that we need to go back to being regular. We should be looking at going back to normal economic status in December. So that's a year from now. Like, that is discouraging, and that is freaking terrifying to think that this whole next year is going to be worse than last year. It really sucks. I can't believe that. I haven't done the fact checks on the countries that are doing the best and the worst, but I have a funny feeling that America's doing the worst, because there's no decision making. It's a little bit of this here, a little bit of that there. We're trying to please everybody in every department. You can't please everybody. You're gonna have to make a tough fucking decision. Either close down the economy completely or keep doing what you're doing, I guess. It's both tough decisions. And I get it, but there needs to be a more solidified decision based on what the perception of this pandemic is right now by the government. So what I mean by that is, I've talked about that. What I mean is exactly what I've been talking about. If you're going to make it that serious, if it is that serious, then shut the damn economy down. Let's get back to zero. Let's get this place back on track as soon as we can. That's assuming that it is as deadly as it's being played out to be. If it's not, then let's not worry about it, and let's just go on. And see, that's the thing. No one's even entertained the idea from the government that this pandemic is fake, or that it's exaggerated, rather. And that's what's bothersome for me. It's not bothersome that they're making, I mean, it works in both ways, actually. So it's kind of it's such a, there's so many layers to this topic. And the fact that they've created so much doubt is the perfect playing ground and breeding ground for fear. All right, that goes back in time. This is the age-old fear-based tactics. You need to create a level of doubt before you can ever be successful at instilling fear amongst the masses. And that's what's going on here. So they've got the doubt. They have no certainty. This pandemic is not measurable, in my opinion. It's not. I know they're sitting there shooting out numbers like 351 million people have died from this. That's fucking insane. That's not even true. That is not true. I don't know who said that number. I heard that number on the radio. It's not true. And so it's just crazy, the amount of inconsistent information we're getting and the amount of doubt that is still out there. I mean, anything that's not measurable is just going to keep continuing. And that's the best thing. Having doubt in things that are not measurable is the best place to actually thrive in for people that are trying to get a message out and an agenda out. All right, this is crazy. This is crazy shit right now. And so, yeah, it's back to what I was saying. This is the best time to find out who values you, what people are willing to do. Like I was saying, people, you know, you find out who's selfish. You find out who's selfless. There's been some good that has been done in this. You really find out the great people that are willing to go out on a limb to help people too. So there's been a lot of good that's gone on. I personally think this is the best, what would you call that? The best, like I'll use the same term, breeding ground. This is the best breeding grounds to expand in. You know, the mentor I follow has been successful because he has been expanding, and more particularly expanding in crisis situations. You know, like the 2008, what people call it, a depression, or 2008 decline, or whatever. It's time where everybody was contracting, right? Everybody's contracting, and in that time, apparently he expanded and has ended up done well for himself in that year and beyond. Me using my own life as an example, this past year, when I heard about the pandemic back in February or March, and I heard about them shutting places down, shutting the home shows down. I was set up to do home shows for my business, which is where we generate a lot of the leads. When I heard about that, I panicked as well, because I was thinking, oh my God, we're gonna lose clients, we're gonna lose prospects, we're gonna lose leads. And so I panicked and I expanded into it, though. I didn't panic and contract. I panicked and expanded into it. I shouldn't have panicked. I mean, that's just natural human stuff. You know what I mean? When something's scary, it's scary. I'm scared of things. Losing my business and not being able to support my daughter and those type of things, that's something I'm scared of. So what am I going to do? I'm not going to contract. I'm going to expand into that, and I'm going to take some hard, massive action to change that. And so that's using that example. I did that. I expanded into it. This was the busiest year. We almost doubled our revenue last year, and I've done really well last year. So what am I thinking for this year? It's going to be even better because I'm going to hit the ground running. I'm going to expand even more into this, this died down economy right now, which everybody's scared of. There's not a lack of money. There is not a shortage of money. That is not the issue. Jeff Bezos will tell you that. All right. I mean, if you think there's a shortage of money, talk to Jeff Bezos. This guy is a multi-billionaire. I think it was like $180 billion worth. I could be wrong on the numbers on that, but we all know that guy skyrocketed with last year because everybody's buying shit online. They already did buy a ton online, but now that everybody has contracted, the two businesses that have really benefited from this is Facebook and Amazon, because it's gone to the digital world that it's primarily digital right now. And that's exactly what they want. It's playing right into those two social media companies, or I guess Amazon wouldn't be considered social media, but that company. And so yeah, that's a perfect example of how they have expanded, into a contraction. And so there is places to thrive in this down economy. This is a time where people are starting their own businesses. They're selling their intellect digitally a little bit more, which you should. I mean, the world's going that way anyway. Before this pandemic, it just kind of kicked it in high gear a little bit and opened people's eyes up to that. So I always encourage people, start a podcast, start a business, start a coaching, whatever, start a coaching platform, start a workout platform, do whatever. There's so much that you could do. Even if you have a job still, this should be a wake-up call to you to start putting your thoughts into more of your dreams, into something that you really want to do. If you're tired of that job, you're tired of working that retail job, you're tired of working manual labor, if you're tired of anything like that, it should be a wake-up call to put your head down and start grinding at something else, because it's going to take time. And that's the other thing is, if you understand that you're working on your dream is going to take a lot of time, you need to get started now. I mean, if it takes 5 years, 10 years, you need to get started now, and you need to think more in that regard. You know what I mean? If you're 25, it might not be 35 or older until you actually have got a lot of traction and seeing some real results. If you're 40 years old, it might not be until you're 50 or 60 until you see some real results. All right. As a matter of fact, in my experience, when I've paid attention to a lot of successful people, it seems like they do better they actually get real trajectory on the business and the revenue when they're older, when they're like 40 or older. I mean, I understand that there are some 17-year-olds out there that own a plane. They're part of the 1% out there. All right. There is a very small percentage of people that are in that. And so we have a lot of people that live in the country. And just the odds, just talking about odds, you're going to have some outperformers like that. So, but yeah, it's just something to think about for a lot of people. Just think about what you want to do, start doing it. Putting your and it doesn't mean just doing something. If you got to learn and work on yourself and build value in your intellect first, then do that. You know what I mean? Read a book, study people, just start building your brain. Get those building blocks established in your brain of whatever it is you want to get into. You want to get into workout trainer, you want to get into accounting, you want to get into podcasting, you want to get into art, you want to do some paintings, you want to do children's books, and you want to write a book. All these things you could really just start doing at any time before the pandemic even happened. But now that we got the pandemic, this message really is more for the people that have a lot of time on their hands. Start thinking about what else you could actually do aside from a few things, you know what I mean? And if you value your you time, your Netflix time, your whatever time it is, think about some time that you could actually cut out and leave just for yourself, as far as not mental health purposes or hobby purposes, but something that you enjoy, that you can get paid on. All right. There's nothing wrong with getting paid. If you have a problem with seeking out money, then you're always going to be poor and you're always going to be struggling. You need to think about how much money you can bring with the skills that you bring to the table. And if you don't have those skills to the table, then that's where I'm talking about putting your time into. Think about what you want to get into, acquire more skills, and start putting that shit into action, because it's going to take time. And now's the time. Right now is the perfect time to be doing that. So, expand into this contraction we're going into. And that can even dovetail into this. Okay, so time feeds procrastination. All right, if you're thinking about doing something, do it. Just start doing it, or start learning about it, or whatever. Get involved and get obsessed with this thing that you want to get into, or you're thinking about doing. You need to focus on speed. You need to focus on getting it done fast, because the longer you procrastinate and the longer you're scared of it, the longer you're going to take to do it. You're not going to ever do it if you sit there and procrastinate, or time. Time feeds fear. And I've heard this statement before from somebody. Procrastination is derived from fear. Usually people procrastinate because they're scared of something. They're scared of the outcome, or scared of a result, or rejection, or something like that. So just identify that procrastination as being fear, so that you can actually punch through that shit the minute it comes up. I used to hate, when I first started this job, I used to hate having to call people. Sometimes I would have 10 people on a call list that I'd have to call, and they all, maybe one of them would turn into an actual sale or a lead. And so I got discouraged, but that discouragement fed my fear, which fed my procrastination. So there's sometimes I would really end up putting it off, and it would ended up getting worse for me. You know what I mean? Because then these people would call back again, and now they're upset. All right, they're like, I didn't get a call back. I would really appreciate some reciprocation, and then now I'm making a bad image for response time, and that was not how I wanted to operate the business. So I've learned real quick that I need to really attack shit with speed and check it off the list immediately. Since I have such a big list, it just keeps stacking and stacking. I need to really just check it off the list immediately as it comes up. And it feels good doing that. You're just like bam, 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 bam. Using this as an example, the lead list. You're just like, okay, called them, no go. Appointment set here for them. Okay, pre-qualified them. They're good to go. Like you're getting shit done when you're just powering through it like that. But the longer you procrastinate, you're just feeding that fear, which is just adding to time, and you're never going to do it. Or when by the time you do it, you're not going to be happy to do it. You're going to be upset. There's already a built tension sometimes, maybe. So just, do that shit fast, get it done, and do the hard things first. Do the hardest things do the things that you don't want to do first. You know what I mean? Get uncomfortable. That's going to require you getting uncomfortable. And that's been personally one of my biggest things to help me grow and get confidence. The confidence level has just skyrocketed because I've been attacking the obstacles as they come up immediately. And I'm not talking about just leads in my business. I'm talking about everything in my life. Everything that comes up as an obstacle, I don't just go right through it. I fucking destroy it. I'm focused on destroying it and getting through it and letting know whatever that is in front of me is not stopping me from doing what I set out to do. And so that's powerful. Super powerful. It's something that's really benefited me. And that's a lot of I teach that a lot to my daughter too. And although, kids, they struggle with that a little bit more because they're new. It's new. The world is new to them. So a lot of experiences are new. But with an adult, it's also new to them, but we also know the answer. And the answers of what I'm saying is truth. What I'm saying is not even a surprise to people. I think a lot of people understand what I'm saying when I'm talking about like a lot of these self-improvement things. It's in the back of all of our minds. We really know what it takes, but it goes back to the content and the people you surround yourself with and the internal dialogue you're having. Consumption is also contributed by the people that you surround yourself with. So if you're surrounding yourself with negative people, you're going to be negative. If you're surrounding yourself with people who are just not motivated, you're not going to be motivated. If you're surrounding yourself around people who focus on certain things, you know, like not procrastinating and things like that, you're not going to procrastinate probably because you're looking at them, you're seeing what they're doing to do it, and you're getting influenced. And so in that regard, it's kind of like the scenario where Trump has a huge influence on people. The difference between that, though, is we're talking about direct influence, all right? When you see somebody doing something you want to do and you do it because you can see that it can be done. It's not completely relative to the Trump topic, because what I was saying was it's not like Trump. In order for that to be relative to that topic, it would be like Trump having to cause violence himself and then someone seeing that, so they're going to cause violence. And that's why I was saying there shouldn't be as much accountability that's held for, you know, going back a little bit to that topic. There shouldn't be that amount of accountability for that man. There's a small sense of accountability, don't get me wrong, but it definitely shouldn't be instilled or acknowledged by other people, though. You know, when the people are like, he should be held accountable, she should be held accountable, it's his fault, it's her fault, the reason why this is happening to me is because of this and that, and so on and so forth. It is the worst path to go down. I've been there, I've done it. I know a lot of people, many people who still have lived their life this way and still live their life this way, grown adults. It is the most damaging mental status that you can have as far as growth goes. You're just not gonna ever, and that's why I was saying, going back to there again, like you should look for ways to just have a disgusting amount of accountability. So going back to that, so yeah, when you tie accountability into procrastination, you should really just look to power through all these obstacles that come up as soon as they come up. All right. I can think of a lot of scenarios where I've done this too, aside from the example I gave you, but I'm not gonna go into all this. Like I said, I could keep talking about that quite a bit. So just understand that procrastination is because you're scared of something. Acknowledge it and go through it. All right. You're gonna feel much better. And then back to the viral viewpoint, like I said, the true colors. You're really finding out where you stand. You're finding out what kind of people are, who the good people are, who the people who don't give a shit about anything are, or give a shit about people. You're finding out a lot, is what I'm saying. All right. So be observant. Take notes this year. And see what you can do to change your course as far as where you want to go. All right. Don't just sit around and wait for something to happen. Don't sit around and wait for handouts from the government. Don't sit around and wait for handouts from your boss. Don't sit around and wait for handouts from people. It's just not going to happen. And that's not it all goes back to accountability. So as you can see, I'm making examples that really shed some light on where a person can be accountable in these situations. All right. So, man, I'm super bummed about having to cut this podcast short, but I have to stop at 9. I wish I could go past that, but I can't. I haven't even eaten yet. I've been running and gunning, doing appointments. Actually, I only had a couple appointments, but that appointment turned into 2. Well, I had 3 actually. But one of them was twice the amount because I had to drive back and forth. So, all right, well, let's finish this off with a nice rant. Oh God, I talk about this a little bit. So basically, you've heard me talk about how the people that, so I'm talking about my business, right? The main business I have, contracting. I talk about, I think I made this a rant about how I was so irritated with people that will see a post of mine and then just type interested or I'm interested in this. And again, that was one of my rants a while back, a few episodes back, and it's fucking irritating. Well, I'm gonna kind of break it down a little bit more because it's the same thing as these other statements that I hear, which is basically people who say I'd like a bid or a quote. All right, asking somebody for a bid or a quote is a waste of time. Don't even word it like that. I get turned off when people are asking me, can I get a bid or a quote? Do you guys give free estimates? Immediately, I usually know that those people are not serious buyers. 99% of the time, those people are not looking to buy or move forward. They're the worst type of customers out there. And so I have a fucking rant about that because they're not serious. Those are also the type of people that don't make any big decisions in their life. Here's what I mean by that. Think about all the shit that you have bought online, whether it's Amazon or all these little things that pop up in your Instagram and Facebook feed that, you know, you click on something and then you see a ton of other relative ads of that product on there, right? And then you finally make a decision. You're like, you know what? I'm going to buy it. When you buy something online, you don't ask them for a quote or a bid, do you? Obviously, you're looking for the price, but more times than not, when you see something you want, price normally doesn't even end up being a factor. It really doesn't. When you see something you want, even if it's above your price range, you make it happen. All right? And that's what is irritating about this. And so now I've rearranged my I have basically a what do you call that? Basically, when you make an ad sometimes on Facebook, you can suggest questions for them to ask you. What I mean by that is you have a suggested question, right? And then it pops up on there when they message you, you know, and so my greeting will come up like, hi, you know, Benjamin John here, love to talk to you and help you with your project plans. And then the questions I'll have are laid out. One of them is I'd like to move forward with this. What's the next step? What's the lead time on a job like this? How soon can you get started? Buyer's questions. And I figured out that is the most effective way now to actually really pre-qualify somebody initially before I even talk to them. So it's like the pre-qualifying question before the pre-qualifying conversation. And so that's been real effective for me now, actually. And it's kind of weeded out a lot of these bids and quote questions and interested. You know, I'm interested. I want a bid. I want a free estimate. Do you guys do free estimates? Can I schedule a free consultation? First of all, I really don't even get in a situation where I'm driving out to give a free bid or a quote or interested. You can find out all the information you need to know on all my websites. You can Google it. You can call me. We can get a lot done over the phone, including getting you the price, all that shit. And that's what I do now. And so a lot of times I really don't waste any time with the bids and the quotes. I really don't. Most of the times the jobs I set, the quotes that I set, close. And that's why I have a hard time not getting myself into the selling part. I wish I couldn't do that and just focus on the marketing and permitting and project management. But I'm good at it. I'm good at, you know, I have a confidence level and I have an ability to make people make a decision on the spot and give me an answer, and getting an answer. And I have an ability to actually set up the close, or set up the prospect to easily close. I make it very easy for them, even though it's an inquisition and it can be hard for a lot of people. So yeah, I realized, but I'm good at it, and I realized that, and I used to hate it, and that's something that can be built upon. So I really like that. But back to what I was saying, it's fucking annoying to me that people it's contagious too when people publicly put that on there, like, I want a quote, I'm interested. It just keeps going. People are like, I'm interested too. I'm also wanting to know what this is going to cost. Can I also schedule a free estimate? No, you cannot schedule a free estimate. Yes, we do free estimates, but no, you cannot schedule a free estimate. I'll give you a free estimate over the phone, I guess. But the people that want me to go out there and do a dog and pony show for free, I don't do that. You're either seriously wanting to move forward with this company, which we've been highly vetted by everybody. You can see all our credentials. You can see our reviews. You either seriously want to move with us or you're not serious about making the purchase at all. So I keep it real simple. I make it easy for everybody. I make it easy for myself as well. And I like that. So yeah, that was my rant. And people, stop saying you want to bid, you want a quote, you're interested. If you're going to say that, just say, what's the price for this? What's the price? That's it. Just say the price. Like, okay. And then say, okay, I want to move forward with it, or nah, it's more than I thought. Just make it clear cut and dry. Stop tiptoeing around. And God, people have a hard time making decisions. It's just so frustrating for me. So do it, and it'll be the best thing that'll happen to you. So again, I'm sorry that I had to. I was late, and we're only doing an hour episode today. I really apologize. I'm gonna really kick it into high gear next week. I'm gonna make sure that a homeowner's not able to control my time like that, and schedule everything appropriately. So that being said, I'm gonna leave you guys. Go ahead and give us a. I'm trying to think of the plugs here. Give us a like, give us a follow, subscribe, share. Keep that momentum going on all these platforms, which is Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. All right, we really appreciate that, and I appreciate the long-term love and the local love and the shares and all that. All right, really appreciate it. I really do. So with that being said, I will see you guys next Saturday. We got another guest coming in later in a few weeks towards the end of the month. I'm really excited about that. I'll do a promo vid on that pretty soon, or a promo picture on that as well, and I'm pretty stoked on that. So stay tuned, but until then, keep it viral and keep it contagious. See you guys.